Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Wednesday, October 25th, as we start the last 4 days of this fall meet at Keeneland. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. No stake on the Wednesday cards. We'll just take a look at the late pick four that starts in the fifth race with a $50K maiden claimer for 2-year-olds. And where did you land in this one, Jim?
Well, depending on who stays in with the entry, Rockingham Mel is the stronger part of the McPeak entry. And if he stays in, I think that that could even be a single here because the last race was much better than what any of these have run. And there's a race over the track, which is important, ran on October the 11th. If he scratches out and they leave analyzing in, not so sure that's a strong entry. So I'm going to play it like they're not going to leave Rockingham Mel in. So I'm going to go 4 deep in the pick four here. My pick, if Rockingham Mel scratches, would probably be Blue Mesa for Ian Wilkes and Calvin Burrell, dropping out of maiden special weight at Kentucky Downs, and those Kentucky Downs horses have run well here, and this horse did okay on the dirt first couple times out, but don't have a strong opinion that way. Convincing for Brad Cox, the 6 horse, and Sean Bridgemahan. Brad always gets them ready, and this horse has had a long string of works and just maintenance works, and don't know how good he's going to be in the afternoon, but I would put him in there. BW for Chris Hartman had a decent out opening at 50,000. I would use those 4 horses. I would still use analyzing even if Rockingham Mel scratches out. So I go 4 deep here. Rockingham Mel would be my top choice by far if he stays in. Other than that, I think it's a wide open race.
Yeah, I look at it in a lot of ways like you do. If the entry is in, it looks really strong. And when we get to putting together the pick 4 tickets, I'm going to kind of give folks an either or on singling. But like you, if Rockingham Mel stays in, I think you can potentially single there. But for now, I'm going to assume they don't, and so I'm going to key around the entry. But I think actually probably if Rockingham Mel is in, then I would make the entry a key with these others I'm going to mention. If not, then I'd put them all in a box and without a key horse. And the others I like, Blue Mesa and BW, 2 of the ones you mentioned. Kango, I'm going to throw in there the 7. It seems like over the years I've seen a lot of these Zito second time at the meet horses run better. There's another one later on that I like a little bit. So I'm going to include that one on that angle. And then Handsome Harv I'm going to throw in as well for a price, the 8 horse. 6th race is, I thought, a well-matched group here. I ended up liking Attribute a lot. I thought he caught a good field last time. A horse that won that race down at Churchill came back and nearly won on Sunday. It's third start off the layoff, and he's had 4 works since that last race for Asmussen. His horses have been running well at the meet, drawn well down to the inside. So I like Attribute a lot in here. Donwell is another one I like. Second time for Tom Amos, and 8 Town had a big number in the maiden win, but now faces winners. And then Speedmeister, Cassie Barnes cooled off a little bit, so it gives me a little pause, but this one ran well in his only start here. So I'm going to key around Attribute and use those others in exactas with him. How about you?
I liked 8 Town better. I thought Brian Lynch, that race at Belmont was extremely strong. The horse has been working well since it got here at Keeneland. And I think closing on that track up there at 6 furlongs, I think he'll like Keeneland. Attribute was my second choice in here. I didn't much care for the 7 furlong race at Churchill. He kind of folded up in the stretch after that easy win prior to that. So I'm thinking that 79 was just caught a really, really weak field at Ellis. So I'm going to use 8 Town as my key horse here, hoping that 88 buyer is real. Attribute would be my second choice, and I think you can pretty well cover the pick 4 in that. Donwell would be my third choice if he gets back to the numbers he was running at Churchill this summer. He'll be tough, but been off a little while, and I think he might need one. And Speedmeister for Lake Peru is the other one that I would use depending on whether I single in the 5th race. But 8 Town would be my top pick in the 6th race.
7th race is a non-winners of 2 lifetime allowance for 2-year-olds going a mile on the turf course. Got a couple of Wesley Wards in here. Big field. Where did you go?
Yeah, this one's could be an all race, but there are a couple that just don't fit, like the 9 Cutler, the 8, the X. So I went going 5 deep in here. My top pick would be Bantu for Brendan Wallace, coming out of the juvenile race at Kentucky Downs, and I'm still going to key on those Kentucky Downs horses. They're still running well here on the turf. Arawak for Wesley Ward, I would use. Stolen Pistol is a horse that intrigues me a little bit at a 12-1 morning line. They tried him in the Grade 3 Pilgrim at Belmont last time out. Didn't run bad. Got beat by 4 3/4 after a bad start, and they thought enough of him to put him in the Pilgrim. So I'm going to use him in here. Sky Promise at 10 for Kenny McPeak, and the 12 Mr. Riccio for Phil Bauer and Giroux. Impressive win last time out at Churchill after getting slammed at the start and being 11-12 lengths out of it, and ran them down at the stretch, and comes back at the mile distance. So those 5 horses, Bantu and Mr. Riccio would probably be my top 2 picks if I keyed in a trifecta or an exacta box. So 6-12 exacta box would probably be my play, and I'm going to use all those in the pick 4.
Bantu's the first one I wrote down, but I ended up switching to a price play, and it's one of the Wesley Ward's, Gunny Rue the 3 at 8-1. This horse has worked well here, and the other thing I like is the horse that he beat last time came back to win, and there was a horse that came out of that race that won here impressively at Keeneland. So I think the horse that Gunny Rue beat last time is potentially a pretty good one. And off that, I'm going to try to key around Gunny Rue for a bit of a price here, but it will be definitely a spread race in the pick 4. I like Arawak, I like Bantu, I like Stolen Pistol, and I like Sky Promise. The only reason I didn't use the 12 is just the post position on the outside, but you make a good point about that last race. The 8th race is 15K maiden claimers going 7 furlongs. This is the other Zito horse that I'm going to take here. Fullback Eye, the 9. I've just seen these Zito runners improve with a race over the track, and this is the second start off a layoff, too, for this one. So I'm going to try Fullback Eye here, but Arch Madness I will also use, Encrypt, Russell Cave on the class drop from Straight Maidens, and then Missile Bomb mainly because Le Peru has chosen to ride that one. So I'll go 5 deep in the last leg when we get to pick 4 tickets. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going 5 deep too, but we don't have many of the same horses. So I think this 15 maiden claimer, you probably need to be all to be alive here, because it's a well matched. Not a great race for the last race of the day, but it is what it is. So. I used Summer of 54 as my top pick here. The horse is 0 for 9 lifetime, but has shown some ability. Comes back with a second race at Keeneland, and Jimmy Graham rides again. So I think that horse has a shot. Missile Bomb, the 6, you did mention that horse for Darren Miller. And Le Peru, been off since October of 16. Encrypt, the 7, almost won at this level. First time out at Keeneland, and they're bringing it back in a little over a week. So, and went off as a 3-2 favorite that day. The 10 horse Arch Madness for Landeros and Wilkes on the outside I could use. Other than that, I'll even throw in Blitzkrieg. I always try to put the first time starters in a 15,000 claiming, because the other horses have already proven they cannot win. So Blitzkrieg hasn't done that. Sophie Doyle takes the ride for kind of an unknown trainer, but I'm going to throw him in there as well. So 1, 3, 6, 7, 10 when I get to the pick 4.
All right, let's go to our pick 4 tickets. Again, it starts in the 5th race on Wednesday's card, and I'm going to go deep in the 3rd and 4th legs, so I've got to trim it down in the first 2. And this is the either or I was talking about. The first ticket I'm going to give you is using 5 horses in the first leg, the 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8. Then I'm going to single attribute. Then I'm going to use 5 horses in the 7th race, 1, 3, 5, 6, 10, Arawak, Gunny Rue, Stolen Pistol, Bantu, and Sky Promise. And then I'm going to use all 5 of the ones I mentioned in the last leg, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. Now, what I would say is if Rockingham Mel does stay in the race, and then you could look at singling that one, and you could maybe do, if your budget allows, do 2 tickets. You could single that one and then go 4 deep in the next race, which would be Attribute, 8 Town, Speedmeister, and Donwell. So I kind of went back and forth, and I ended up, leaning to singling Attribute for what would be, I consider, I guess, my main ticket. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the pick 4. How about you?
I did the same thing. My main ticket, if the entry stays intact in the first leg, is singling the 1, then go 1-4 in the second leg using 8-town and attribute. Then go the 5 I talked about, 1, 5, 6, 10, 12 in the feature race. And then the last race I will go all, because I think that you and I have differing opinions on that, and I think it definitely is an all race. That would be a $60 ticket. If the entry does not stay in and they scratch the 1A, I would do the pick 4 this way. I would use 1, 2, 5, 6 in the first leg with BW, Blue Mesa, Convincing, and the entry of Analyzing left in, and then single the 4 in the second leg, 8-town, then go 1, 5, 6, 10, 12, and then the last leg I would drop that to 1, 3, 6, 7, 10. So that would be a 4 by single by 5 by 5. So that would be a $40 ticket. The other one I think is a $60 ticket.
So we've given you a little extra work to do as you think about your pick 4 plays for the Wednesday card, but sometimes required when you've got an injury you're dealing with there, not knowing how it's going to go. At least you'll know right on the front end of it what's going to play out there. Best of luck with your wagers on the Wednesday card, and we'll be back to take a look at Thursday's card on the next edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.